Hey guys, today I want to talk about the importance of having a plan. I'm directed to newbies because that's what the whole point of this channel is for. Anyone who's getting into Hex now, anyone who might have gotten in a few months ago and is still fairly fresh, doing their research, trying to find the best tips and tricks. About a week ago, I was speaking to someone I onboarded. Hex was having its best month ever, moving up 20-25% per day. We hit a high of 9.8 cents. We almost hit 10 cents. And I think when we were at 9 cents, we were like 8.5 cents. This person came to me and they said, "Hey, should I buy more?" And I said, "Well, that's a personal decision. You have to evaluate how much you can afford to invest and not touch for, a few months to a few years. So that's for you to kind of look inside and figure out." And they went, "All right, thanks," and they went away. Now, after this big peak where Hex moved up to almost 10 cents, it's had a bit of a dip. It dipped as low as, I think, 7.5 cents. Currently, that dip is being bought up very quickly, as all previous dips. And we're back up to 9 cents. But anyways, then 2 days ago, they messaged me and said, "Hey, should I sell? Hex is falling to 8 cents. And he said, "Hey, what's going on?" So, this is the part of the onboarding that I hate the most, because it reminds me just how emotional humans are. They're so short-sighted. And even though I tell them, "Hey, Hex is the only crypto website where on the homepage it states that crypto is highly volatile and you should expect significant dips. It's not a bug, it's a feature, yada, yada, yada. You guys know the script." And I told them, you can sell if you want, right? The whole point of this kind of the wave price action, then it kind of goes up, takes a bit of a break, dips, and then it continues on the upward trajectory, is a feature. And that experience has reminded me the importance of teaching newbies to crypto or Hex, the importance of having a plan. So I want to shoot a quick video that's going to be related to the future of your Hex portfolio. And I think more importantly, your pulse. It's important to have a plan. And actually more importantly is to write that plan down. Because as the price moves, as months go by, your circumstances change. And you may want to stray from the plan you had originally. So it's really important when you get into Pulse, when you get into Hex, when you get into any investment, to be honest, to write down in a few short lines the outline of your investment thesis, because it's different for everyone, right? I think the common theme is we all believe Hex is a bright future. It's likely to appreciate from here, though there may be dips. So you should accommodate for that in this plan. This is similar to you creating a staking strategy, right? So everyone's different. Everyone has different personalities and different investment strategies. So some may be staking every 5 years. Others are staking every month or every quarter. Similarly, you should have a plan on what you wish to do with Pulse, right? Both in the sacrifice phase and then when it launches. Here are some things that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking to not go all in on Pulse on day one. I know that, there's been talk about having a bonding curve, and the sooner you get in, the better. And I saw 2 illustrations of what that bonding curve could look like. But something inside me just tells me from past experience that dollar cost averaging is going to be the safest strategy. And what that can mean is, though it may appear to be better to get in day one, perhaps the price of Hex will appreciate faster than the bonding curve, and you can get a better multiple of Pulse later on in the sacrifice phase, because that USD value that you're sacrificing is going to be much, much higher. So some things I'm playing around with, but I'm writing it down, and I'm writing down the portions I'm wishing to dollar cost average. So perhaps I'm going to do 50% of what I'm allocating in the first day or two, and then save a quarter a few days after, kind of seeing what the price action is going to be like, and then putting in the last quarter near the end of the sacrifice. Again, just food for thought. I'm not sure who's going to be right in the end, but just some ideas. Now, when sacrifice launches, you're going to be overwhelmed. There's going to be information coming all around you. There's going to be tweets. You're going to be in this echo chamber, feeding off of other people's ideas. Before that starts, it's important to write down a plan while you're sober, right? So there's a difference when hex is going up, you have all these wild ideas like, oh my God, if I just sell right now, I could buy that dream, insert whatever material trap you wish. But it's when you're sober do you make the most logical decisions. And investments are highly logical, or at least they should be, right? Some people are very emotional. They chase AMC, GameStop on the way up and on the way down. Other people that are more logical or more patient come out ahead in the end, right? So you buying hex, you staking, that's going to be significantly more profitable than anyone who's thinking emotionally and trading emotionally, investing emotionally, right? So while you're sober, it's important to just jot down. And again, the reason why I say jot down is because, again, when things are going parabolic, when pulse is appreciating, when there's a sacrifice phase, when hex is going up, you just decide to disregard your rules because they're in your head. It's easy to disregard because they're not tangible. So it's important you write down these set of guidelines that you wish to follow while you're sober, right? While you're thinking logically. So for pulse, it could be your strategy, right? Perhaps you just want to go all in the beginning, write that down. Perhaps you wish to dollar cost average. Write down the portions of your allocated liquid hex or liquid crypto tokens that you plan on sacrificing. For hex, a plan that I have is when I plan to start being a seller, right? So I got into hex 6 months ago and I've only been a net buyer, right? I've made a staking ladder. Though I have some regrets about some stakes I made, as most hexicans do, what I found recently, it's important to note that you have control in other ways. Perhaps you made a stake for a year from now, but now your vision's changed to be more long-term, and you regret that relatively short-term stake. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. You're not going to emergency end stake it and lose a significant part of your principal. But what you could do is control what you're going to do with that when that stake comes out, right? An example is you could make up for the loss of the T share by staking further out. So as soon as that stake comes out in a year, you take it and you put it 5 years out, and that's going to be the best you can. Maybe originally you planned to do 3 years, but now the T share rate is higher, so you have to make up for it by throwing it out a little bit longer. Now, the other thing you can do is perhaps delay when you sell your hex, right? Like a lot of people, you regret not getting in last year. And though you can't change the past, you can change the future, right? So what you can control is perhaps when you sell your hex. So what that means is if you're thinking of kind of living off of hex and selling a little bit every month, consider delaying that plan by half a year or a year or more in order to take advantage of the appreciation that a hex could have in that time span. What I mean is, it's been a year or a year and a half since hex launched, and now we're starting to see some people take profit in the hex community. They're buying trucks, trailers, watches, luxury goods, things like that. And it seems to be the most prominent around this time, but a year and a half to a year later, which makes sense. It's a psychological kind of time frame. So what I'm thinking is, okay, I don't think I'm in the position to take profit a year from now. So I'm going to tell people who got in early at the beginning are taking profit now. But I think I can capture the most multiple. I'll start selling maybe 2.5 years from now versus a year from now. I could be closer to the kind of multiple that they gained in the beginning. It may not be that 1000x, but it might be something closer to it. And I'm only going to get it if I delay it by about 2.5 years. That's kind of the math that I've ran in my head versus taking profit a year from now, like the OG hexicans can do. I think I can get the equivalent taking profit about 2.5 years from now. And I'm making note of all this in my rules. Originally, it was like take profit at double digits. I don't like that plan too much because that could be longer than 2.5 years. So my plan is just 2.5 years is going to be equivalent to people who got in earlier, and that's when I feel comfortable taking profit, perhaps selling the interest that I've earned up until that point. Right. Another rule you can make note of is perhaps to sell when hex goes viral. Right. We are in the pre-viral stage, so we are the early adopters. Hex is not listed anywhere. There aren't any significant influencers saying good things about hex. Perhaps your set of rules could be take profit, again, perhaps only on your interest, perhaps a stake, the principle of a stake that's coming out at a certain point, only when Hex can go viral, right? So capture the maximum multiple when that Hex price explodes, when everyone hears about it, when the gatekeepers start cracking and we get through it a little bit, try to consider selling then. But again, the whole point of this video is to make a plan, because there's, like I said, a difference for when you're thinking sober and then when you're thinking irrationally and emotionally based on the immediate events. So if you make a plan and you write it down, you're more likely to stick to it. And that will lead you to have less regrets. Largely, the whole point of having a plan is to minimize your regrets, right? I got into crypto like 4 years ago, and there's many things that would change. But if I can take the lessons that I've learned and consider them in my Hex game plan, I would set myself up to have the least regrets and learn from my mistakes. So I hope you learned something new. I hope that you go out and write down a plan, because it's really important, especially for what's to come in the future. All right, good luck, guys. Bye.